Hello, thanks for joining us on the Signature Show. Today on our show, as they say in Nigeria, we have a very, very big fish. But I know that you'll be the first one to say, what do I mean?
Exactly.
So, we have a very big fish, a Nigerian who has become an epitome of the Nigerian spirit. A Nigerian who is proud of being Nigerian, but even in that pride, he's also still very proud of being an Igbo man. He's one of those that have signposted Nigeria in the world map, and it's my pleasure to welcome to our show Chief Dr. Pete Edochie.
Thank you
Pete,
very much.
welcome to our show.
Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
God bless you.
Always a pleasure.
Dalo.
Yeah, let me take you back a little bit. A lot of people in Nigeria, when they think about Pete Edochie, they just see one big star who just fell from the skies. A lot of them didn't quite know where you started. Tell me about your broadcasting years. That was actually when you became a star, before you became the mega star.
Yeah, thank you very much. I joined broadcasting in 1967. I ran away from the North during the crisis, and I was lucky to have returned with my life. And I joined broadcasting on the 14th of February, 1967. That's Valentine's Day. I don't forget it easily, And I rose to be a director. I mean, it's to encapsulate my impressions along the line. So, and while I was the director, there were programs I created and immortalized, so to speak, like Instant Party, Instant Party music from the masters, which featured only classical music from great composers like Peter Tchaikovsky, Ludwig van Beethoven, Mozart, Schubert, Haydn, Handel, the rest of them, Bach. And even till this moment, people still phone me to request I go back to the program. And I said, no, it's almost 20 years or more since I left broadcasting, and I'm not likely to perhaps attract sponsorship for the program, Even though I will not lack material for it, I believe I have more classical music in my house than, well, most Nigerians, let me just put it that way. So, and I think it was while I was still in broadcasting that I did Things Fall Apart, which I think introduced me to the entire world as something of an actor. Put it that way, it won plenty of laurels. And so the moment I left broadcasting, I got into the movie industry. It embraced me with both arms, and I haven't gone back.
Yeah, we are not going there yet. We are not going to your movie career yet. Let's go back to broadcasting. I mean, you were among the best. I mean, when you talk about music from the masters, I also can talk about it because I remember that era when you presented that program. Not only that you had developed it, you also presented it for many years. When you sit back these days and listen to radio, do you get a feeling that it is still the same broadcasting of those years when you held sway behind the microphone and kept people, thousands and thousands of people, glued, with their ears to the radio?
That's a very good question, Vin. Broadcasting today is no longer what it used to be. I must tell you the truth. In spite of the fact that the broadcasters today have access to all the information they want, they have not managed to inject professional expertise into their broadcasting. Let me tell you what I mean. When we went for the All Africa Games in 1973, I was at the commentary booth with Ernest Okonkwo, Michel Afulonshaw, Inca Craig, and they're all dead now. And we had materials on all the established athletes at our fingertips. Yeah. You talked about Kipchoge Keino, we could tell you all about him. You talked about Alisa Anum from Ghana, we could. You talked about John Akibua, the hodler, we could. I don't see any such thing these days. The last time that we had maybe a repeat of the All Africa Games in Nigeria, 30 years after, I was listening to commentaries and I was disappointed, but I hung my head in shame. Yes. I was hurt. I said, look, this is my profession that is being scandalized. Then, if you were asked to go and interview somebody, no matter who he is, you did a lot of groundwork before you proceeded to conduct the interview. If you were asked to interview a psychiatrist, you had the opportunity, it was provided for you. Go to the library, read up whatever you can on psychiatry, so that you're not at sea when you're interviewing that person. I remember on one occasion, people were interviewing the great Zik on national television. He looked at all the people interviewing him. He imagined the age they may have done in history, and he pitched his answer beyond them, and they were all nodding. Zik said, during the Treaty of Westphalia in 1648, and I looked at all those people, none of them knew what he was talking about, right? Yeah, and I pitied them. If I were on that point, I would have nodded my head because I know about the Treaty of Westphalia. But you see, all right, at a stage in a political evolution, maybe in the immediate past, history was expunged from the curriculum. It's a colossal tragedy.
It is.
Come on, if you don't know where you're coming from, there's no way you're going to know where to stop. To imagine it alone that history was taken out of the curriculum. Whoever may have recommended that, come on. You want to extinguish a people, that's what it means, and so you see, sometimes I don't blame the broadcasters today very much. I don't, because I don't know the kind of orientation they had. But in our own case, oh hell, you were grilled properly. Like I said, if you were going to interview a psychiatrist, you're going to interview a lawyer, a doctor, no matter the field of the person you're going to interview, right? You had a compulsive knowledge of that field at your fingertips. It is no longer the same thing today. So I'm not sure I still feel nostalgic when I listen to them. I don't.
Things fall apart. Yes, for those of us in the Southeast at then, we knew Pete Edochie, of course. We knew you had become director at ABS. We knew you presented program, you participated in some radio drama and all that. But for the rest of Nigeria and the world, not many of them knew Peter Edochie. So how did it happen? You know, I've heard stories, somebody called you and this happened. Tell us the story. How did you get involved in Things Fall Apart?
There was an engineer who worked with us in broadcasting, and he's dead now, Engineer Ugu. He was in charge of, I think, zone C or zone E or some one of these zones in the NTA. And it was that zone that decided to do Things Fall Apart. That was when Walter Ofonagoro was the Federal Minister of Information and Culture. He bought the idea, and they proceeded to do the script. Emailanya, late now, and I think the director, Adiela Onyedibia, did the script, and a lot of people were invited for the role of Ebubedike Okonkwo in Things Fall Apart. I was invited to the audition. The audition was held at the, I think, one of the auditorium in University of Nigeria here in Enugu. I was invited. I actually was going to do my program on radio, so I had my records with me, and the moment I walked into the place, a lady called Dr. Mrs. Linda, who was lecturing at the University of Calabar, who was invited to handle locations and I think logistics, etc. The moment she looked at me, she said, if this man could act, that's the man we want. And I walked into the place. I had never read the book, nothing. And I saw a couple of people from Lagos. I remember Iria Benahimio was there. I think Emma Edokpaye, I'm not so sure, but I think they were all there. And we were given the script to read, some script. And all the others were reading. And the moment I read part of my script, the woman said, this is the person we want. He walks like him, he's tall enough, blah, blah, blah. Then, because I was much younger, and I didn't know that I was working with the spring. I was working like my father, but I mean, it didn't mean anything to me until I was told that that was how Okonkwo in Things Fall Apart was working as recorded by Chinua Achebe. And that was what Engineer Ugu saw before recommending me. But the people who were doing it did not bother to contact me. So they did episode 1, and Ugu saw it and said, burn this thing. Go and look for Peter Edochie. He works with his wife in the same complex. He is on radio, the wife is on TV. Go and look for him. That was how I was contacted. Otherwise, it would have been done without me. So the moment I got in there and I was selected, we had to go repeat episode 1 that was done by Emma. And the moment I got on stage, both the producer and the white lady, Dr. Mrs. Linda, most of the people present, they said, come on, that's the man we want, our job is done. I said, thank you very much. Give me the book now to go and read. I've never read it, I didn't read it in school. So I went and read it, and we went on. At a stage, it's a very funny one now. 2 characters from Village Headmaster who were part of the production, Justice Esiri and Eleimi, Funsha Adiolu, they began to bluff. They would always threaten to leave the set and all that. And at a stage, I called the producer. I said, listen, I am better than these characters, let them go. The script is about Okonkwo, and I am let them go. There's nobody who can bluff me when it comes to English or interpretation. I have more Shakespeare in my head than any character I know in this country. I said, come on, let them go. Let them go. That was when they stopped their threat. Then Esiri came back to me and he said, look, you don't act like a big actor. You're a very big actor. You should be bluffing when you're... I said, no, 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 no. I will not bluff. This is our production. There's no way I can bluff anybody. Let's get it right first. Then we can bluff after all, you know. And then, afterwards. So we began to shoot. And as the production progressed, we were able to tell that we were actors operating at various levels, of competence, by the way now. So the film came out. The BBC flew into Nigeria to interview me because of the success of the production. Then they flew across the Atlantic to interview Chinua Achebe. And Chinua said, a lot of people have tried this production before, but the only person that gave it an interpretation after my heart is Peter Edochie. He is Okonkwo. And from that moment, I've been Okonkwo till now, you know. Well, the NTA, I signed a contract, which was not honored by the NTA, no. They said, each time we broadcast this thing, we're giving 15% of the proceeds, and nobody ever gave me a cover, but it's okay.
Yes, I was going to, you know, because today, a lot of on-air people, a lot of actors and actresses, the first thing they talk about is money. And when you told us the story, I didn't hear anything about money. What was driving you? Two things. What was driving you to jump into this production without the money aspect? And two, what was driving you when you told those colleagues of yours that, look, this is our production. It's not time to bluff.
First of all, I never got into that production because of what I was going to be paid. I was paid all right. That was not the motivation. That was not the propulsion. I wanted to make an impression of an actor. Nigerians were used to seeing actors on national television, mainly people who were doing Village Headmaster and a few others, you know. I can't remember most of them now, but the most prominent then was Village Headmaster, you know, and we were not part of it. Nothing that was originating from the East here was ever on national television. Or maybe Zebrudaya, I don't, you know.
Zebrudaya.
So I said, okay. I got into acting in 1962 when I was in my third year in St. John's College, Kaduna, and I was on set to do Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice. That was my introduction to Shakespeare. And after that, I had to do Macbeth, I had to do Julius Caesar, I had to do Richard III, you know. But that was how I got into it. Now, there was nobody here then who knew that Peter J was this kind of person, right? If I had any theatrical competence, there was no way I could prove it until I went on set. I remember the Commissioner for Information then, Dr. Paul Mordum, he called me. He said, Pete, this is an opportunity for you to put our name on the world map. I said, I'll do my best. And I did. And after that production, I think, at the risk of sounding immodest, vain, I won the hearts of so many people. So when I left broadcasting, I was embraced by Nollywood. Even though, by the time we did Things Fall Apart, there was nothing like Nollywood, no. Nollywood came into existence with
Living in Bondage.
Living in Bondage, thank you very much. by Tinubu. That was when Nollywood came into existence. And we had done things for about 7 years before then, you know. So, well, I'm still in it. I mean,
So does it bother you that today, when you meet a young person that maybe you think there are some talent, that the first thing they talk about is the money?
I don't blame them. I blame the circumstances under which they were raised. Today in the country, a man gets into politics. Before you know it, he's built his wonderful houses, not house, but expensive cars, etc., you know, and hell, that's somebody you were sitting down with, one-on-one, as pals, mug mates, getting into politics and becoming larger than life. So the emphasis now became money. How much can I get? So if you say, hi, how are you doing? The person extends his hand, money first, before I tell you how I'm doing, right? I don't blame them at all. I don't. And I'm telling you the truth, I don't, yeah. It's what the country has prepared them for. The country has misplaced emphasis. It has affected them, yeah. It's money, money, money now.
You know,
It was not like that in our own day.
you know, I was going to talk about politics at some point in this conversation, but I think maybe we should start talking about it now.
Good.
In the past 8 years, if I'm wrong, please correct me, you've paid more attention to politics, not as a politician, but putting out your opinion about what you think, about who should lead and how we should be led. What brought you to that point? Because you've been Pete all these years, but and I'm sure I noticed this in the last couple of years, you are more outspoken about what is going on in the country. Why are you taking that position?
You get to a stage in your life when people begin to look on you as a role model. Societal expectations compel moral rectitude. You want to tell it as it is because people accord you a lot of credence. And that's what it is. You know, during the past 8 years, I mean, we who belong to this part of the country, we received no attention at all. Buhari deliberately ignored us, right? He knows why he did it. I don't know. But I will tell you, he ignored us. I mean, I look at the man who was in charge of transport, the man from River State, Amechi. Now you want to resuscitate the railways. You want to revive the railways. You cut off the southeast. Who are the people who travel most? Who are the busiest traders in the country? The southeasterners. You cut them off, right? And then you turn around to tell me that you are doing me some good by cutting me off. That doesn't make much sense. I mean, I am 77 now. If I can't tell the truth now, I mean, how many more years have I got on earth? I mean, I don't care who is the president. No, 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 no. Wherever you come from is your business. I don't really give a damn. But for God's sake, take a good look at this thing, evaluate it, imagine your involvement with it, and then ask yourself, am I really doing what I ought to do? Yeah. Buhari ignored us completely. I mean, he was not sorry for it. He said it that he was going to give, I think, 97% or some kind of mathematics that was, you know, to those who voted for him, then 5%, you know. He ignored us completely, right? And people like us were compelled by virtue of our position in society to at least voice our grievances, right? Without insulting anybody, just telling it as it is. We are being sidelined. We are being marginalized. We are being ignored. We are being hurt. And, well, he's off the stage now, right? Good. And Tinubu has taken over. It's still the same party. But you see, Tinubu came in, he made an Igbo man, I think, put an Igbo man in charge of the Navy. You are now thinking of
a
the
service chief.
Yeah, talking about the service chief now. He put an Igbo man there. He made an Igbo man the Minister of Works. It's never been done in the history of this country. And the person he made Minister of Works, the very competent engineer, Umahi, who was formerly the governor of Ebonyi State. Go to Ebonyi State today. You will not believe that Ebonyi State is part of the Southeast. Ebonyi State is the most developed part of the Southeast today as I'm talking with you. And all these things happen, well, okay, progressively, showed a lot of commitment by all those who ran the affairs of Ebonyi State, right? Then Tinubu made him Minister of Works. For that, I am very happy, and I owe Tinubu my gratitude. He has my support for that. He did not ignore us like his predecessor did. And I hear that somebody from this part is also in charge of FEMA or something, never done. Is it FEMA or never? What is it, FEMA?
Yeah, the maintenance agency.
And all that. Okay, right now, Aba has its own source of electricity. It couldn't have happened under Buhari, no. You look at the problem that the country has. And look, Vin, if you were born in England, you are a Briton. If you were born in America, you're an American. You are free to contest any political office where you were born, either in America, in Britain, France, you name it. It's not the same thing here. It's not. And it is part of our problem. We inject religion, we inject tribe. These are divisive forces. There is no way they can glue Nigeria together. And that is why I think it's particularly painful that we're running this country along those lines and we expect progress. Vin, it never happens like that. It does not. It does not. Like I said, if you were born in England, you're a Briton. The person who is running England today, I think, is an Indian.
Yeah, Indian descent. Yeah.
Thank you, right? The person who is vice president in America, this lady, has Indian blood.
Is it because we lack a sense of nationhood? Or is it because we don't want to change things in Nigeria? What do you think is the reason why this kind of behavior is exhibited by leaders?
You have blocked your eyes and head to progress. Most of the people who wind up running the affairs of this country have a lot to do with the outside world. Somehow, whatever experience they may have gathered from international circles never gets reflected on the policies that they evolve in the country. And look, okay, we are talking about handshake across the Niger. The governor of Enugu State employed, I think, a Yoruba man to be in charge of the broadcasting house, right? Good. A few days ago, a Yoruba man in Anambra was promoted permanent secretary. Vin, that is exactly what handshake across the Niger means. Look, people keep shouting about restructuring. Nobody ever sits down to tell you what restructuring is all about. It's always in their head. Just say it because others are saying it, right? Somebody who is born in the north should be able to contest any office in the north, in spite of his religion. That is how a country progresses. I mean, okay, Tinubu must know that a Yoruba man is running the broadcasting house in Enugu. Tinubu must know that a Yoruba man has been appointed permanent secretary in Anambra State, right? I mean,
But Tinubu also appointed an Igbo man economic advisor in Lagos.
beautiful. You know, why don't we expand this gesture so that it becomes the norm? Why don't we just do it? So that people from other parts of the country can emulate us. Because, I mean, if, for example, you, Vin, you were born in the North and you're a commissioner in the North, right? Anybody who comes from the North will be close to me. Because you, as an Igbo man who was born there, you have been given a position there. A big political office is what you're handling. That is what brings the country together. We're not using our heads. Look, I was invited to Lagos for the birthday celebration of, I forgot, this lady's, the husband answers a Bedike Dibo, but it's not really, it's from River State.
Okay.
You know, I'll remember his name as the production goes on, you know. That same day I landed in Lagos, there was so much activity. I was told that Dangote's petrol station or something was to be commissioned on that day.
Yeah, the refinery.
Good! And I said, God, I thank you, Lord. It means that the price of petrol will drop. It was commissioned. Only for me to learn later that it has not even been completed. You know, God! You see, why must we fool people in the country? Why? So when people say that Nigerians are fraudsters, etc., we feel it. But we deliberately create circumstances that attract that kind of condemnation. Have you noticed that we just finished AFCON? Is it
AFCON, yeah.
African something, Africa football?
The championship.
Good. There was no there was no Nigerian who was invited as a referee. There was none. There was none. You had referees from Namibia, referees from... There was none. Nigeria is the biggest of all the countries that were competing there. There was no referee. Why? Not because we don't qualify, no. But how we are assessed by the international community. They can't afford to be honest, don't include them. It's painful for me.
Well, some people, they've started a new argument that maybe it's because of the type of government we are running. And there's this new agitation for us to return to the parliamentary system. You were a young person, even in the First Republic. Do you think that it is about government? The challenge we have in the country is about the type of government? Or do you think truly that parliamentary should be what will help us better?
It's not the system that is wrong, the people running the system. You know, it's like buying a new car and engaging a driver. He drives recklessly and keeps hitting everything he comes across. It is not the fault of the vehicle. It's the fault of the driver, right? Good. I mean, if you engage another driver to handle the same car, he becomes very careful. You will now see the difference between that driver and the previous one. There is nothing wrong with the system we are operating. Nope. The people who are operating the system, they are the people who are creating the problem. Yeah. Like I said, go on.
Let me just ask you two questions. One, you are worried about how the Southeasterners are treated in Nigeria. And you've said it openly. You're not hiding your
My grouse.
grouse. I don't want to say your anger.
No, grouse.
Then, two, you're also worried about how the country is being led. And I will ask you in very few sentences, what would be your suggestion for how the Igbos are treated in Nigeria and how the leadership is, forgive me, in quotes, messing up the growth of the country?
I can talk with some measure of competence on the kind of treatment that the Igbos have been subjected to. Without provocation, I don't know why we're being, well, I don't know why we're being treated like that. I don't know. Subjected to all forms of inhuman treatment, all forms of tribulation. We are blessed. As a matter of fact, it's a common saying that if you go to any part of the world, you don't find an Igbo man come out. You know, there's no life there. I believe that. You know, we are being treated just like the Jews. And by the way, I hear that we have some affiliation with the Jews. That must be true, right? Because you look at the kind of punishment, the kind of treatment the Jews are subjected to, you ask yourself, what have these people done? Okay. They killed Christ, right? Good. I want to feel that the origin, the genesis of their problems, you know. Otherwise, I mean, Hitler killed 6 million of them, right? I mean, we borrowed this thing from America, right? America has been operating this system for God knows how long, right? Good. They don't have the kind of problem we have, right? We are responsible for it. I mean, we always place religion and tribe first in whatever we do. And these are divisive factors. That's what I'm trying to make you understand, you know. The man who is running England today, I mean, Britain today, is of Indian descent, and you know.
So the problem, from your point of view, is this politics of indigenship and citizenship.
Yeah, that's right. That's the major. You see, it's a major plank of discontent. If you ask me, you know, a lot of people believe that for as long as these two factors determine whatever we do, there is no way we can progress in the country. There is no way. Okay. Before Buhari's team came in, Jonathan was in charge. Now, before Jonathan left, he convoked a confab. And people were drawn from all parts of the country. On the eve of his departure, they came out to their deliberations. Buhari took over, and those deliberations were spiked. You see, you know, I keep asking myself, what really is wrong with this country? Okay, no matter how bad a man is, he can always serve as a good example of a bad man. That's what I was taught when I was doing journalism. So that nobody is totally bad, nobody's completely bad. In politics, we condemn ourselves so much that, I mean, we believe that nobody is good in politics. That's not what it ought to be, because it's not vain. I mean, okay, today people are suggesting we have local, state police, we have police for local government. All these suggestions were made during Buhari's time. They were all turned down. Now, because we cannot contain the ravages of banditry and all that, we are going back to all those suggestions that were made, and they are now being considered by the House. That's what I'm telling you. When Buhari was on, any suggestion you made from here was interpreted as being motivated by the desire to unseat Buhari, which is nonsense. I mean, if you're doing something that is not very good and somebody says, look, don't you think it will be better if you did it this way? Why don't you give that idea a trial? I mean, thank you very much. Give the trial and see how it works. You see, when we were training in the BBC, we were taught how to pronounce words, names, etc. Somebody said, I come from Barbados, and the Englishman said, eh? Why don't you try calling it Barbados? Barbados. But that's the right pronunciation. I come from Jamaica. It's Jamaica. You know, you are there to learn. So when somebody tells you, try it this way, right? It's a very polite way of saying the one you did previously is not the right one, right? Okay. All the people, if you suggest from the Christian South to a Muslim president, why don't you try this thing this way? The general impression is that you want to unseat him. So how can we progress? How can it is not the political system that we operate that. It's the people who run the system.
The people we've recruited.
That's right. The people we recruited to run the system, right?
Okay.
I mean,
well, I know how you feel about what is happening. But let's talk about what you do now, Nollywood, you know.
Okay.
Let me be a little personal. I know that a couple of years back, you, for instance, shot a lot of films in my residence. And one thing I noticed was that there was a lot of humility exhibited by you. There was a lot of patience, especially with recording timelines and what have you and all that and all that. And today I've seen conversations by people in your industry about the impatience of today's generation of actors and actresses. And you've talked about morality. Tell me about it.
You see, I cannot accept 2 or 3 scripts at a time, no. I accept 1 script at a time. So that whenever I finish shooting that 1 script, I can go on to shoot another one. I mean, if you think I am relevant enough to star in your production, good. Allow me to finish with the one I am doing. When I am through, I join you. If you feel that there is somebody who can replace me, please go ahead. But I will not hold your production to ransom by accepting money from you while I am still doing another. No. That's, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger is my mate. He was being interviewed and he was saying exactly what I am saying now. He said, I don't take 2 scripts. No, 1 at a time. Even, what's his name, Rambo, you know, all mates, Stallone, it's the same thing. But the young men you have today will take 2, 3, 4 scripts at a time. So they're permanently in a hurry to leave your set. Everybody is held to ransom, you know. Please, I can't, look, I'm not, I have to be away in the next 2 days. I have a job in Asaba, I have a job. We were not raised like that. We were not.
You say that those of you that are older in the industry, you're not good mentors?
I'm not going to say we're not good mentors, but I don't think we are even permitted to mentor. You see,
they don't have that disposition.
No, they don't. I'm not even sure they think contributions from us can be relevant or didactic. I don't think so. Otherwise, right, why wouldn't they emulate us? I've been on set with most youngsters and I've seen them hurry. Look, I have a job in Asaba. I have a job in Lagos. I mean, my plane has already... You know, Vin, at the risk of sounding immodest, take our names outside the country. The only actor people know in this international is Peter Edochie. They will tell you the bearded man with the red cap. You know, from the days of Okonkwo and up to, I have been molded in some places. All right. Let me now talk about myself. There are places where I have been molded. You lean on me and you pay $8 or something. You take a photograph. There's a university where I am. Look, the last time that they had Black American Month, about 2 months ago, a very big picture of Edochie was. I don't know who does all this, but I'm telling you that internationally they don't know these people. But they bother so much. They disturb us on set. There's a film I'm shooting in Lagos. A lot of people have flown in. They saw part of this thing, and they begin to ask questions. Who is this man? Now I'm beginning to branch off, talk about myself. Let's leave it. You see, most of these youngsters, they don't know what it means to be modest, to be patient. They don't. They don't. If you go to interview any one of them, he will tell you that he became an actor from the mother's womb. And anybody who is an actor or a footballer must have somebody who is a source of inspiration to him. You must. Peter Edochie was inspired by Sir Laurence Olivier, who was regarded as the greatest actor ever. He went through Shakespeare single-handed. He inspired me. There's a man today called Anthony Hopkins. This is a man who will admit to you that he was inspired by Sir Laurence Olivier, right? Just like Denzel Washington was inspired by Sidney Poitier. You see, you cannot be a great person on your own. When I was playing football, I was playing with my right leg. And after some time, I saw somebody called Elkanah Onyali using his left. I decided to try, and I ended up playing with my left leg. I was being called Onyali. It is the same thing with everybody who is a good footballer today. He will tell you, this person inspired me. You interview most of the actors in the country. They will not give credit to anybody. No. They were so great from their mother's womb. They were so, fantastic. I mean, that's madness now,
Let's go to something in the last couple of months that you're championing. You've had to call out actors and actresses about infidelity in marriage, jumping from one marriage to the other. You've also talked about morality. You've also talked about abuse in the industry. What is the challenge? Why is it that a lot of people in your business, especially the younger ones, can't keep their marriages and can't even be trusted, even in business and a whole lot? What is the challenge? You're an insider, and sometimes people like you, I can say you've seen it all. What is the problem?
They are influenced by what happens in Hollywood. In Hollywood, it is difficult to get a marriage lasting up to 10 years. Yeah. And they think it's the best way to carry on, There is something that I've heard a lot of people say in Igbo. That is exactly what happens to the people in Nollywood.
Like, you're here,
yes,
but you want to be there.
You want to be there, that stupid obsession with bilocation. I believe that there is nothing you want from any other woman that your wife does not have. Even all the excitement you get from rushing into a woman comes from you, not from the woman. I mean, sometimes let's really philosophize and get into our heads, all this madness about sex that obsesses us. You look at a woman and you think this woman is better than your wife and all that. You hop into this woman. She's not better. She's not better. But you see, most of our women, our girls in Nollywood, allow themselves to be obsessed by what they read of actresses in Hollywood.
So is it a men issue, a women issue?
I will
In
say,
Hollywood?
yes, I will say both, but the women much more. Yeah. You see, most of our women want to get married and want to still stay single. That is the problem.
How do you do that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Vin, that is the problem. You are married. There's a girl somewhere who is single and she's doing such and so thing.
You want to do the same?
You want to do the same thing while you're still under your... No, it does not work that way. It doesn't work.
And then the men too want to be married and want to remain single.
The men are married. They think they can get excitement outside. This is why it's both ways. But you see, I had to speak on International Women's Day, and I said something. It is only a woman who converts a house into a home.
Yes.
A house remains a house until a woman moves into that house, right? It becomes a home. And I said another thing. The power of a woman is in her tongue. If your wife does not drive you to madness, no other person can. But if you are able to contain whatever poison your woman spews from her mouth, you can run a country comfortably. Once upon a time, there was a guy called Sonny Liston, who was the world heavyweight champion. He was addressing a press conference. His wife was in a car waiting for him. After some time, she thought he had spent so much time. She walked into that press conference and slapped him, berated him, while he's been waiting her time, blah, 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 and she walked out and went back to the car. And the man said, all right. To conclude, she's the only person in the world who can do that. And he left. He did not go to retaliate, but we'll kill her if he retaliates. But she has slapped him. I mean, women are the only people in a position to behave like that. You will be a mad person if you go to retaliate. We were having a press conference once at the government house here with Biasika. I don't know what annoyed his wife. And she came out with an axe. And she was mowing down the Rolls Royce that was there in front of us. Yeah. And he went to Babi said, well, for those of you who are married, I mean, this is new, this is not new. We said yes. And we continued with our yeah, we did. Amadi Ikweche, I don't know whether he's still alive or dead now. He was formerly...
Former governor.
Yeah, we were all in Zaria. Amadi was a very good footballer now. You know how spotless he could be when he puts on his naval uniform. Good. The wife poured overabona on him with... My God.
So
when he was he looked. He said, I'm coming. He went and took it off. I mean, the woman will do anything in the world to provoke you. If you strike her, you could kill her. But you see, you employ philosophy. I think it was Socrates who was talking to a lot of people. The wife was waiting for him. The wife had eaten, he hadn't eaten. And the wife said, look, come and eat. It was there, you know, and I thought I'd eat, you know. The wife was so angry. After shouting on him, she went inside, collected the water with which they had washed their hands and poured on him in front of all those pupils. Nobody told them, he said, gentlemen, after thunder comes rain. And they continued. Yeah, I mean, the woman had blown all the thunder, then she capped it with the rain, and that was it, you know. So,
it's both ways.
Yeah. You see, most of these youngsters are really not, they're not prepared for the challenges of marriage, you know. So when those challenges come, you know, they can't cope with them. They can't.
You know, a lot of people, forgive me, but I have to ask you. A lot of people, I mean, you think the way you think, and then you, your son, is in all this, getting married today, not getting married. What do you tell him?
I don't want to comment on it because the case is in court. Yeah, I don't. If the case were not in court, we would have discussed it, but it is in court. I mean, he's my son. So it's not a safe area, it's sub judice, it's in court. So let's leave it.
Okay. So just about a week ago from today that we're having this interview, you were 77 and you were celebrated. When you look back from those years in Kaduna where you grew up and all that, don't tell me you're an interested party. How would do you think Edochie has done well?
Well, if we take a good look at this house, I don't think it's a poor effort. That's my house. And to build this house, I never borrowed a kobo from anybody. Not from the bank, not from my friends, not a pin. Every kobo that went into this house was earned. And I feel happy about it, right? It is well furnished. If you sit down in my parlor and I put on the 2 air conditioners there, you will sleep off. So I thank my God that at my age, I have a roof over my head, which is mine. I have children who look after me. This is a very big car. If I take off this thing, you will see the car I'm talking about. The Christmas gift from my son. One of them. So I don't think I have done badly. I thank God that one, I am still alive at 77, and I'm still going on. You see, I've had a lot of people say that age is just a number. That's a very stupid statement. If a person tells you that age is a number, slap that person. Age is not just a number, no. Then, when you begin to age, the first thing you lose is your memory. Age attacks your memory before attacking any other part of your body. Yeah. Sometimes you can't hear what people are saying, and they're talking to you. Sometimes you can't see properly. These things come with age. Every young man at a stage in his or her life must suffer something that has got to do with the prostate. I've moved out because of that and back. I have gone to India. There are many other people in the industry who are suffering the same. There are people in the industry who've lost their memory entirely. So if somebody tells you that age is a number, that's a very flippant, silly, stupid talk. It's not. But we all pray to age. And as you're aging, you're looking at your children coming up. That tells you that you're aging. You're getting frail, right? When I climb upstairs now to go and lie down and sleep, it is with plenty of effort. It was not like that when I built the house, right? I could take the stairs 2 at a time, but now I have to climb, like a chameleon, gradually, So, if I look at my mates, people who schooled with me and people who work with me in the broadcasting house, I'm not sure that anybody in the management who is still active. No. Most of the directors are dead now, and
So there's so much to thank God for.
Listen, on the day of my birthday, 5 Reverend Fathers celebrated Mass for me here. The Vicar General was representing the bishop, and it was the Vicar General for the entire, including Onitsha and all that. I don't have the word for it. Then the head of the Spiritans, we had 3 professors who are Reverend Fathers who were there, and the only person there who came all the way from South Africa, has just been ordained a priest. All the others are doctors from beginning to the end. So they've been in this thing. Good. And I said to myself, Pete, if you can attract this distinguished assembly to come and officiate on your birthday, I think God knows you've done your best. In whatever I do, God comes first. Vin, in whatever I do, God comes first. And I don't let money determine my relationship with anybody. No. Vin, I have known you for so many years. You have always been like this. I have not caught you quarreling with anybody. You are not a commissioner, you are not a minister. But being your friend, or you being my friend, is something I treasure very much. Yeah. I have shot so many films in your house. Anytime we come to the place, your wife gives us all the attention, and all that. The children come around me, have photographs. That is the kind of thing that gives me a lot of joy. It is not knowing governors and knowing commissioners. All these things are transient. That's not what I value. I think about God in whatever I do, then I think about my relationship with individuals. That matters a lot. There is no way you can appreciate God except you are involved with the individuals around you. You look at all the faces of people around you. They have eyes, they have ears, they have nose, they have mouth. No 2 people look the same. That makes you appreciate God, right? Good. So if you ask me, I will say I think I have done well for myself by the grace of God, yeah.
Are you bothered? Are you worried about what we see in Nollywood? Very, actors doing well, have a good run, and then they get, after so many years, they can't even take care of themselves. And then people have to contribute money for them to go to hospital. They don't have houses where they live in. What is the reason? Why does it happen? Is it that they don't make hay during the sunshine? Or, tell me, you're there. You're like a father in Nollywood. What's the problem?
I am. First of all, let me talk about priorities. People make money and maybe their priorities are not quite the same as ours, who believe that getting a roof above your head is the most important thing. You get married, you have children. The next thing is think about a house, right? There are people in the industry, well, not all of them, and as much as we do, but who earn money. It's unfortunate that we don't all earn very well. And when somebody takes ill and there is an advertisement, people are pleading with society to help go to the hospital. For me, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Nothing at all. Then number 2, if somebody has meant so much to you as an actor, for example, a lot of people celebrate me, for which I thank God. On the day I was celebrating my 77th birthday, There were 4 rams outside their brain. The 4 rams. All those rams came in that day, right? Before then, about 4 or 5 rams had been brought here. And all these are in appreciation of what you have meant to them, right? People come here with their children. They want you to take photographs with them, right? I have never denied anybody the opportunity of taking photographs with me. If I go outside now, there are 20 people who want to, I will just say, give me a seat. I will sit down. Oh yeah? After taking photographs with all of them, I'll say, okay, can I go now? Yeah, Daddy, you can go now. And again, you know, it gives me a lot of joy.
But
yes.
the question I'm asking is, movie stars are not the only professionals. They are that professionals. And they make money. They earn a lot of money. So why do we keep having these issues of, I mean, you have to call the entire world to contribute money? Is it something you guys should consider, maybe a fund where people can start saving? I'm just asking, is this something? Yes, it is not wrong for people to help somebody in need, but the preponderance for this in Nollywood is becoming embarrassing.
You may consider it embarrassing. For me, it
Or
is...
would rather we don't talk about it?
No. You see, like I said, you know, I went to India for prostate and all that stuff. If I didn't tell you that now, you wouldn't know.
Yes, I would.
It was not advertised, you know, and all that. Because by the grace of God, my circumstances made it possible for me to do that. I didn't have to go soliciting for assistance. No. Somehow it was handled by, you know, by the family. Good. Not everybody is in a position to do that. Right now, to take a man to India, etc., bring him back, you know, I don't know, don't even imagine how much it's going to cost. It would be difficult for any actor, as it is today in this country, to afford on his own to go outside, get treated, and come back. It's difficult. And if the doctor says, this is the only place you have to go, appealing to the public, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
There are a lot of people who have money who would want to see you. Okay, wait. When Christian Chukwu was ill, Otedola brought $50,000. I think the government also brought some money. It was Otedola's intervention that made it possible for Christian to go abroad for treatment. I love him for that. I wish I would meet him one day, and I'm going to shake hands with him, right? Okay. The man who owns Peace,
Mass transit and all that.
this man, when xenophobia was about engulfing the entire Nigerians who were there in South Africa, he went there and collected Nigerians back home, free of charge.
The man that owns Airpeace.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. He brought them back. That's what I call being a Nigerian. Nobody asked him to, but he thought he owed himself that duty. He found himself in a position to do that. There are so many Nigerians who have buildings, who have private jets, who have a lot of money. And I'll tell you something. If you get up tomorrow and say, this man is ill, I am going to sponsor his treatment, you're a hero. Like the first person who said he was coming to Ibu's aid, his father was formerly a very big name in Kwara, you know.
Is it Saraki?
Saraki. Then others came. right? Good. I mean, if tomorrow it is said that Edochie is ill, first of all, I come back to the word embarrassment. My family will be embarrassed if my picture is put out with me, helpless, on a hospital bed. I don't think I would like it, right? But if there's any way of soliciting assistance without sort of embarrassment, I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Because we're almost ending our conversation.
No problems at all, yeah. I'm enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. One thing I've heard people say is that you're a good family man. And even in Nollywood, you know, you've also proven that you can be a big star and still have a good home.
Yeah, why?
Tell me the secret of your success in the family and then the wonderful relationship you have with your wife.
I joined broadcasting with my wife the same year, the same month. She's a very brilliant woman. She went out, she read law, and came back to the family. We've been together for 55 years, my wife and I, and nobody has ever come to say, Pete, please stop beating this woman, because I never saw my father beat my mother. And all my sons, none of them had ever raised his hand against his wife, not even you. Yeah, I can tell you that with authority. My wife understands me, and I understand her. By the grace of God, I can provide for all her needs, and I thank God for that. You know, again, what makes a success in any family is the ability of the man, to pick up the bills. I have never asked my wife how much she earns as a lawyer, how much she was given as a gratuity. No, I don't have any need for all that. No. But all she wants to do with her money is her business. I don't, you know.
So is instructional that the success, number one success of a marriage is that the man should be able to pick the bills.
Yeah.
Take care of his family.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, the moment you find that you cannot handle that aspect, then you're a failure as a man. Yeah. I mean, you went to the father to pay the bride price, right? And you were told, take care of our daughter. One thing we never do in Nollywood is to actually show the interaction between both families when it comes to arranging marriage before you get on to pay the bride price. Vin, you go to most places, you are told, oh, you'll pay 200,000, 250,000. You run around and you get that money. You give it to the man. He takes 20,000 from there and say, take the rest. You are surprised.
Take care of my daughter.
Yeah, just take care of my daughter. I'm not selling her to you. No, don't worry. Go. And that's it. And that's it. I mean, you will now come to realize that you are marrying into a family that appreciates you. You owe that man an obligation to ensure that you take care of his daughter. Oh, come on, good. You want to go? You take care of his daughter. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't have any need to look out. I mean, I'm so satisfied staying at home, right? Occasionally, I just get on to drive me around and come back. And I sit back here. I mean, I enjoy sitting out here, enjoying the breeze, but it's very hot these days, right? Or I go right upstairs.
But you're a superstar. I mean, and you've been a superstar for a long while.
I agree.
You didn't become a superstar at 77. you admire us about men and women.
I agree.
How have you handled the women aspect of it? Because you can't tell me that over these years you didn't have, such a interest.
You remind me of the question I asked Zeke at a time. I said, Nanya Wele, when you came back from America, you were a strikingly good-looking young man, tall, and you were being appreciated by the women. They didn't have their overtures towards you. How were you able to cope with them, the women? You know what he told me? He said, well, my son, I did whatever any man my age would have done. And I answered it. Does that answer you?
I must thank you so much.
Hey!
All the times I come to talk to you, I find it as an exciting experience. There's something that has been very dear to your heart. The canonization process of Iwene Tansi. What is it, because he comes from the same area with you, or are there other reasons why you have made this campaign very important to you?
I am glad that you mentioned this. First of all, one of the earliest priests to be ordained in Igbo land, in fact, the second after Bishop Anyogu, the second. Now, he is somebody who lived such a pious life that God chose him. It's easy to observe. People required to know who this man is. A lot of people did not know him until I was approached by the church to do a film on this man. I embarked on a very exhaustive research to get materials on him, and somehow, as the good Lord would have it, my father schooled with him, and his mother comes from my hometown. So a lot of people around know so much about him. When I finished doing the script, it was sent to Rome. Bishop Cardinal Arinze read it and said, this is this man's history, because he baptized Cardinal Arinze. And Arinze wrote me a personal letter and said, if we could shoot the film to be as good as the script, the job on Tansi is done. And we shot the film, thanks to the former governor of Rivers State, Dr. Peter Odili, who gave me the initial grant, which was I embarked on the production. Along the line, I was injecting money at the short films, and by the grace of God, it ended up as an incredible production. We were now given a second mandate. Take this thing round the whole country. And for 15 years we were on the road. Yeah. The fervor, the enthusiasm, the anxiety for his canonization, all these are beginning to die down now because of poor follow-up on the part of the Reverend Fathers. Yeah. If you let people know that the struggle for his canonization is still on, then the worship will still continue. The prayers will continue. Except in parishes that are named after him now, I don't see any of these things around. And I think it's particularly painful, because if you don't keep praying in this man's name, you may not get the only miracle that is required now for his canonization. We've gone through all the different stages, veneration and all, venerable, I said. We just require one more miracle to make him a saint. He's in heaven already. I mean, that's incontestable. But to make him a saint, But we know that by the grace of God, we'll get it. We'll get it, Normally it takes time, May not even be in our lifetime, right? But we pray it happens in our lifetime. If you pray with the name of Father Tansy, you will get results that will amaze you. Yeah. You will get results that will amaze you if you pray in his name to God. God so loves Father Tansy that in spite of his disability, he still wound up as a priest. If you're not complete as a man, you cannot be ordained as a priest. He lost an eye in a playground, but was still ordained as a priest. In 1937, along with Obelagwa and Wanebo, before he went over to England, St. Bernard's monastery, to become a monk. He died there at the age of 61 in 1964, the year I was leaving the secondary school. And the process of his canonization has been so fast. Yeah. People pray in his name to God and look, wonders happen. Yeah. If you have his key holder inside your car, and then what's that thing we place in front of our cars, No matter the nature of accident you have, you must come out of it and talk about it. Yeah. No matter the nature of accident you have, you will come out and talk about it. Number 2, if you have that Tansy figurine on the dashboard of your car, then you will never be stranded wherever it is you're going to. You won't. No matter where you are going to. I will only give you one example. A young man was traveling from Abakaliki to Uyo en route on a very cold, eerie night. His tire began to wobble and he stopped on the way. There was no sign of life anywhere. Everything was so dark. He went and examined his tire. Only one knot was still holding onto that tire. The other 3 had fallen off. And he went down on his knees and said, "Blessed Tansy, if I had listened to Peter Edochie, this wouldn't have happened to me, but forgive me, please. Forgive me." 2 people that night on a motorbike came to him. What is the problem? He told them. They said, one of them said, "Okay, you stay here, I'm coming." He drove off on his motorbike. Came back a few minutes later with all the knots complete. And they tightened the tire. Then they asked him, drive it and make sure it's no more wobbly. He did. He came back, opened the car to thank them. He didn't see anybody.
Again.
He did not see anybody again. He just opened just to say, "Because thank you." And when everybody, the 2 men had disappeared. They had disappeared. He came to Uyo to give this evidence, right? It was there. The little girl who helped us to sell materials at Onichuku was working in the bank, and she overpaid somebody by 20,000, and this girl started crying. She cried and cried and cried, and she brought out that Tansy figurine, and he said, "Blessed Tansy, Peter Edochie told us that if we are in trouble, we'll call on you. If you don't help me now, I will be sacked." One man just walked in and looked at her and said, "What is the problem?" He said, "Do you have the man's number?" He said, "No." He said, "Okay, try this number." He gave the girl a number. She called that number, and she got the man she overpaid. And he said, "Please, I overpaid you by 20,000. If you don't return the money, I'll be sacked. The man said, wait, let me count the money. He counted it. He said, you're right. You overpaid me by 20,000. I am coming to bring back the money. The girl thanked God, looked around for that man. He didn't see him again. Went into the manager's office, looked around the whole bank. He didn't see the man again, nothing. That's Tansi for you. And this is how he has helped a lot of people. There is nothing you call on Tansi in times of difficulty that you won't get an answer. I'm a living witness. Most of the things I'm telling you now, there are ones that are bigger than this. I just remember this two now to let you know. Yeah.
But can you leave an advice for me, for Nigerians, for people in your industry, and for your admirers all over the world? Can you leave, an advice? What will that advice be about life, about how to be successful, about how to have a life of peace?
Well,
besides, you're now a very elder statesman. I hope you know that.
First and foremost, I praise God first. I'm a Catholic. Good. Now, every day at 7:30 p.m., I hear Mass on television from EWTN every single day. Yeah, by the grace of God, I'm going to do it again today. I did it yesterday, every single day. And in other words, every day of my life, I'm hearing Mass. And it means a lot to me. And one more thing I didn't tell you, for which I thank God immensely, is that all the people I have prayed for have all been very successful. All, without exception. Yeah. I thank God for that. There are so many gifts that the good Lord gave me. I can't go into details now, but I'll tell you something. Anybody who is mad, who is demented, and is destroying things, if you stand in front of me and I look at you, you keep all those things away and you talk sensibly. It has continued that way, even when I went for training in the BBC. Yeah. I remember telling my colleagues, I saw one woman who was right. I said, this woman is coming to see me. She will beg me for money, I will give her, she will go back, she won't talk to any of you. And for them, Peter Abiakwa also. Then this woman came. She looked at me. Have you got tuppence to spare? I gave her £1. God bless you. She turned around and she left. The other two people, unfortunately, those other two people who trained with me are dead now. Joyce and Chikazubi Kela, but they rest in peace. They wouldn't believe what they saw. I have had a lot of demented people come to stay with me in my house and living with me very peacefully, and what happens now after they would have left? You see, what I'm begging God for now is let their cure be permanent. Nyabi, that's what I'm begging the Almighty now. Okay. That aside, I want people to encourage us in what we are doing. There is one film we want to shoot, and we've been begging people who have connection to help us raise the money to shoot it. And that is what happened in 1803, called the Igbo Landing in America. Vin, if you Google it, you will know what happened. Igbo Landing, 1803 in America. 75 Igbos were drowned. They said instead of being sold into slavery, this river that brought us here will take us back. And those 75 people are from my place. And what were they singing? Omabala ibuanye bia, Omabala ige ibuanye na. Omabala is that river at Otuacha. It's a tributary of the Atlantic. That's Omabala. At the moment I heard that, actually it was in the year 2012 or 2015 that Katrina Cholon, which is dead now, a professor of history, she came here with two people from America to come and give me this message. And what they said, try as much as possible to ensure that you carry out this directive. One, to shoot the film. Number two, to ensure that those people, their spirits are pacified. Because if you go there at night, you will still hear their voices up till this moment. If you go there, yeah. This is what we've been running around to try to achieve. It is going to be my legacy if I can achieve that. And by the grace of the Almighty, I will. That's what I want to see if I can achieve. I mean, you, Vin, find out details about it, you know. And then beg our people, let them not allow blandishments from the audience dissuade them from their commitment to interpreting characters, which is the major challenge of the industry. You interpret characters, but you still maintain your character. In other words, you have so many characters in one, but you can still relate to people, right? Don't allow reactions from individuals get into your head. The moment that does, you are prompted to live beyond your means, and that is very destructive. This is what has destroyed a lot of actors today, right? You want to live beyond your means. You want to go and buy a car, get paid for it. These things destroy people, right? But if you have the philosophy to cope with stardom and the demands of a celebrity status, come on, you're under no illusion about your professional relevance or the status in which you find yourself. No. First of all, whatever you are, God made it possible. So if you ignore that aspect and want to live beyond it, it's a big challenge.
The great Pete Edochie, Chief Doctor Pete Edochie. Let me congratulate you again on your 77th. And thank you for your time. Well, I've been speaking with the great Pete Edochie, Chief Doctor Pete Edochie, M.O.N. Actor, broadcaster, so many of this and so many of that. Thanks for watching. I am Vin Martin Obiora Ilu from Enugu, Nigeria. Thanking you for watching and asking you to watch this program again on signaturetv.org and also join us on our social media handles. Bye for now.